This video introduces you to some organisms I found in pond water and the factors that ponds need to be healthy. The weather is important, and also how deep the water is and how fast it flows, and the amount of oxygen available. Biotic factors include, is there anything for them to eat? What's going to eat them? Are there organisms that will compete with them or help them? We're going to look at the bottom 3 levels of the food web, but you need all the levels to have a balanced ecosystem. For scientists, the smallest organisms are easy to collect and identify. A small amount of pond water is its own ecosystem. The debris and vegetation seem like a forest to these tiny organisms. If you look closely, especially on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see tiny organisms swimming around. I love this identification key. It's macroinvertebrates and helps me identify some of the bigger organisms. You normally don't get to see snail eggs in the wild, but these are on the glass container I'm keeping them in. Water mites are carnivorous, but they're not harmful to humans. You can see them swimming around in water. They're normally red. And this one seems to be stuck in some vegetation. To give you an estimate of size, this is a petri dish. Some of these types of beetles are endangered. They're overpreyed by some introduced fish or habitat destruction because of agriculture and beaver dam removals. Both the larva and the adult diving beetles are predators, and the adult diving beetle can live up to 2 or 3 years. The larva can look different depending on which midge fly it will turn into. There's the pale version. And the red version that's commonly called bloodworm. One type of midge these will metamorphose into is the non-biting midge, which looks like a mosquito but doesn't bite. This one metamorphosed in the 2 days I had the pond water in my house. The scud is one of my favorites. It lives near the bottom and amongst the vegetation, and it will shed its skin 2 or 3 times as it changes form. Dragonflies spend several years in their nymph form, and these can even eat tadpoles and small fish. Damselfly larvae are plain colored to blend in with the surroundings to avoid predation, as opposed to their adult form, which are very brilliantly colored. Damselflies are closely related to dragonflies, but they hold their wings to the back when they're at rest instead of out to the side like dragonflies. In this magnified photo of the dragonfly nymph's head, the detail is amazing. Mayfly larvae are easily identified by their 3-pronged tail. Mayflies spend most of their life as larvae. Once they emerge to adult form, they live less than 2 days. One interesting thing they do is move these external appendages to get more water flowing past their gills to absorb oxygen. Mosquitoes aren't anybody's favorite, but both in the larval form and the fly form, they provide nutrition for organisms further up on the food web. You'll find these worms as bottom dwellers amongst the plants and rocks, or sometimes on the surface, but I just love to watch their movement. I'm not really sure what this organism is, but it definitely has leech-like movement. They move their legs to create current that brings the food source to their mouth. And they're very interesting to look at through the microscope because they're translucent and you can see all of their insides. In the spring, most water fleas are female and they produce eggs on their own. I wanted to just mention this organism because he reminds me of SpongeBob's nemesis, Plankton. These are some of the smallest organisms I've managed to video. They have a circle of cilia on one end that helps them bring food to them and also helps in their movement. They're also decomposers, so nature's recyclers. Look for them in the middle of the video. You can see movement. They're bell-shaped organisms that almost look like tiny flowers, but they're really animals. Algae is not only a main component at the bottom of a food web, it also produces oxygen. The cell wall of diatoms are made of silica, but the cell wall of desmans are made of cellulose, more similar to plants.